was talking to a friend yesterday about the fluctuations with the dot and the possible effect it may or may not have on global consciousness, Abercrombie and Snitch. She's like, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I got 12 shields on. And I'm thinking, 12 shields? It's like, what? I don't have 12 shields. Like, I use one sometimes when I go out if I remember it. And I generally keep one running in the background from my home, along with salted floors, just to hedge my bets, especially the doorways and around the bed. But I'm feeling like, do I need 12 shields? Why does she have 12 shields? I didn't get too into it with her. But what I'm assuming is it's not just layers, because you can make the shield as strong as you want. There's no resource limit to how you can build these things. Sort of like some of those impossible buildings. If you get the wink wink nudge nudge wink wink nudge nudge. So you can make it as strong as you want. So what I assume, and I didn't want to get into it with her because, you know, I want to look like I know as much as she does. So I'm like, oh yeah, I have them too. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh shit, I hardly ever use the one that I can think up. I just put it on sometimes so I go out. The point being, I think if I had to guess how things are frequency driven, everything's frequency driven. It's a bit like Star Trek. They have a shield around the ship, right? But if the laser fire, if the alien that was firing on them was on the same frequency as their shield, it would go right through it. Or, you know what? Or maybe it was they'd have to change to a different frequency. Whatever the point is, some shields would protect from specific frequencies. And they would usually have like the most, I guess, popular or the most used frequencies that in that story or that galaxy or whatever, and they would have their shields like that. So what I'm assuming is these are 12 different shields that are tuned to different frequencies for protection. So I'm thinking, so you might be thinking, I'm gonna leave that one alone. You might be thinking, how do you know what the frequencies are? You don't need to know. If you design your shield as a thought construct, as a thought form, as Crowley used to say. I don't like that guy, but just, you know, people have heard of him. So if you want to make your thought construct as detailed as possible, and but the intent is more important than the detail. So if you say, I'm putting out 12 shields and they're going to be protection against the 12 most popular frequencies in which a negative force or negative energy could attack. You don't need to know the frequencies. You've designed your shield to automatically do that for you. And you're like, well, how does it? You made it that way. Your will and your intent and your imagination have created this construct. In the ether, in magic, it's referred to as a thought form. You've created this thing. Now, to make it more solid, what you can do using your imagination, which is the back end of reality in computer terms, as I point out almost every time, you can give it a color. You can say blue shields are for negative energy, while green shields fucking absorb negative energy and return it to its point of origin. You can even do that. You're only limited by your imagination. It sounds incredibly schizo and retarded. I get that. That's just because we're not told about this stuff. We don't use this stuff. The concept of creating something in the ether that then has an effect here on the 3D, and I'm going to resist explaining how it's not actually 3D, but to have an effect here on the 3D, that as a concept isn't even something known outside of like magic circles. would be laughed at by modern science, which is now, I mean, science these days, it's very much a religion. I mean, it might as well be a book. You know, you should do this because book something that in the book of science says that, you know. It's funny, speaking of religion, well, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get this fucking video taken down. But I'll show a picture of it, just to tie into saints and Fauci. There we go. So, yeah, it got me thinking, like, is my security locked? Because I do have a running in the background security system that is always going. It's always going all around me because, you know, I can't see behind my back. So what it's doing is it's kind of like I used to work in engineering, land survey, and it's like a surveyor's transit. It's like shooting up the street, at least a block, and it quickly scrolls through individuals that are approaching me and does an on-the-spot threat assessment. It does this automatically because that's the way I designed it. And it works. You know, and it works. It allows me to not look like I'm trying to assess everything. And it assesses everything. Especially when you're walking, you want to keep a certain presence about yourself, sort of relaxed. Because if you're too shifty-eyed looking at everything, it makes people agitated, or it makes people at unease, and you want people to be at ease, because the more at ease people are around you, just generally the better time you're going to have, the less bullshit you're going to attract, you know. That's just like you know, that goes without saying almost. So yeah, it's not about functionality. You don't have to know how it works. You don't know how your microwave works. I mean, maybe you do, but that's just an example. You put your drink in a microwave, you put it on high, and that's it. You know the function of it. It's going to make this hot. How it actually does that on a mechanical level, you don't really need to know, you know. So whoever designed that, you know, they might possibly know, you know. So and that makes me think about something else too. You could know how this stuff works. You could go into the minutia of the design, but you don't have to, because you are creating the rules. You know, so you can look at the shield in the same way you look at a microwave. I'm just gonna put my camera down here for a minute. So yeah, when I walk through groups of people, I like to film them. There are other Waikiki walkers on YouTube that are people watching videos, and the point is to fucking film people. I think they use hidden cameras because people would, you know, a guy would be upset if he knew you were following him and his girlfriend around with your camera on her ass. I mean, that's just, I would think that's not cool. It's not cool anyway, right? But whatever. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of how it's done, and that's how a lot of that stuff is done. Well, that's how it's all done. It's your imagination is the most powerful, important tool you have. But it got me thinking, like, what, am I doing something wrong? Do I need fucking 12? I don't know. I could work it up in a just a small amount of time. Again, though, you want to put, if you can, you want to put as much detail into it as you can. How it vibrates, maybe what it sounds like when it's up, maybe how it reacts to other things that hit it. The more thought out, the more imaginative you can be, the more detailed you can make the thought form or the construct in the ether out here, the more of a physical presence it's going to have, or it's going to influence your 3D environment where you live. Thank you. No, I think, yeah, that covers it. But yeah, I have a bit of shield envy, I guess. So I gotta work on that. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.